Hello again. I'm Timmie.
And I'm Jeanette.
Welcome to another episode of our new name. Actual official name is Two Friends
Now.
and an Owl. We are the two friends, obviously. She's not an owl. I'm not. We have a goofy sense of humor. Okay, so we get together weekly and we pull topics out of the Wisdom Owl and we discuss it. And we have these conversations because we love them and they elevate our brain. And we're hoping that some of our discussion will help elevate your life. So here we go. Do you want to pick first or you want me to? Okay, let me get settled. Cross my legs.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, emotional set points.
Okay, that's actually a good one.
It is a good one. It's an interesting one.
So do you want me to start or you want you to start since it's your topic?
Well, the reason that I actually wrote this one down is because I was at a point where I was kind of noticing that there were caps to my ability to go beyond, even if I wanted to feel better, there were caps in certain situations. There's just like this set point that I wasn't aware of. And once I became aware of them, I've been working at finding ways to kind of move those set points, kind of push them out a little bit further, up a little more, those kind of things. So I think I picked the topic just because it was something that I was currently working on.
So
How do you feel about emotional set?
I love it. The first thing I think of is a thermostat.
Oh.
In fact, just before you came, I had to adjust the thermostat. And I have it at a normal set point, but it was a little too hot. So I had to cool it down. And I kind of liken that we have an emotional set point to where we have like a baseline. And it's kind of like automatic pilot on a plane. I'm switching metaphors, but it's another thing where automatic pilot, where we have this emotional set point like an automatic pilot, and they veer off course, it brings it back. So if we have this set point and we're happier than we normally are, sometimes it brings us back. And if we're sadder or a lower energy, it brings us back. And now the question is, like on my thermostat, I can adjust it myself.
Right.
So how do we adjust our emotional set point?
Yeah.
To what we want
Exactly.
to be our baseline set point.
Right. And for me, it was the realization. I mean, it began, I suppose, with the realization that there was a set point. Even though I've, heard that term before or whatever, it's interesting because in different subjects, I have different set points.
Yes.
So that was the other thing is you feel like you're a positive person, or you feel like you're a kind person, or you feel like you're, whatever. And then you have these particular subjects or circumstances that you find yourself in where that's not the set point, only for that subject matter. So it was really interesting to kind of play there, but notice there were different set points for different experiences in my life. But that was kind of my first ability to do something, or it was just to notice, Yeah.
Well, and that goes back to self-awareness.
Yes, definitely.
So we can be in one area, we can have a nice emotional set point that feels good to us, and in another area, we're off our boat. We're rocked. Our world is rocked, and we're not on that one set point that we prefer to have. And as you're talking, I'm also thinking of practice.
Yes, definitely.
In order to change our set point, we have to be self-aware and notice, like you did. Oh, in this situation, this is my set point.
Right.
Do I want this to be my set point? If you're not aware of it, you don't know it anyway.
Right.
But if you're aware of it, that's your set point. And then you have the power to choose, do I want to move that set point a little bit? And if I do, what do I want it to be?
Right.
Which means I have to practice it.
Absolutely.
And practice it until that becomes the new set point.
Right. Yeah, and it's part of the programming. It's part of the programming that is so part of our being that a lot of times we don't even realize that that's what we're working against. You know, it's like, it's
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
said, if you feel like if you feel like you're a kind person, but in this certain type of experience, you always behave maybe poorly. Sometimes that can just turn into self-bashing versus, okay, wait, 95, 99 even percent of the time, I'm a kind person, but I have an emotional set point here that maybe is, fear. Maybe it's fear. And fear could cause you to act like you're angry, or it could cause you to kind of lash out. But only in this subject. And so it's interesting too, because there's just the awareness allows you to know, okay, I am a kind person. That doesn't change even when I'm having this experience. It's just that this experience has an emotional cap here. Okay, if I'm a kind person and this is my cap, then let me raise that with my awareness to reflect more of who I am than 99% of the time. And allowing that to be a slow process, because that's the other thing. It's a set point because it's like a program.
It's practice. And I like how you said the self-bashing, we have to be gentle.
Oh yeah.
With ourselves along the way, because if we're bashing, we're almost keeping ourselves in that set point.
Definitely.
Because bashing ourselves is not elevating ourselves.
Right.
Being gentle and kind, and that allows the space to be open and move, and also the space to be like, oh, it's okay for me to be here. Right. Our light just went out, so my battery will have to be charged at some other time. So now we're in the dark. It's
That's right.
It's new lighting. It's a new emotional set point.
There you go.
So yeah, the gentleness and the kindness, I think, is very important, to allowing that emotional set point to be adjusted.
Okay.
And again, the awareness, which subjects are hot spots, so to speak.
Right.
And if I'm feeling fear around something, or if I'm feeling elevated anger around something, that's an indication maybe this is a hot spot for me. And what can I do to change that?
Right. And also giving yourself permission to, if you're going to go digging, the thing is, give yourself permission to experience less than positive emotions.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we have that knee-jerk reaction to, when I feel something that I deem negative, I want to resist that. And if you're in resistance, you're not gonna pick up the understanding of where your set points are. There's just no way to find that. So giving yourself permission, okay, I am going to excavate this. I am going to, look further into this. And as I do, I'm probably going to be triggered, or I'm probably going to have these responses that are less than what I want. But I need to do that. I need to allow myself to do that so that I can uncover the fullness of what that is for me.
That's beautiful, because just sitting with it,
right?
Like the whole architecture thing, if you're unbearing something that you weren't willing to look at, and you're distracting yourself from, and that's the emotional set point, you go here and you want to come back to it, it's like brushing off the dirt and really looking at that amazing emotion, because all emotions are amazing, because they're all beautiful, all telling a story for ourselves. But the way you mentioned the architect, it's like not architect. Is it architect? No, anthropologist. No, I can't think of the word.
Kind of it would be an anthropologist.
Or archaeologist. Yeah. That's the word. Archaeologist. Told you I get messed up all the time with my phrases. But the archaeologist dusting off the dirt of this emotion that's our set point, but we've been running from it. Like, we don't want to deal with this, but it's kind of saying, hey, let's deal with it. This is your emotional set point. This is every time you touch this subject, this is the emotion we're going to feel.
Exactly.
So let's just see the beauty in this emotion and see what this emotion has to say.
Right. Definitely.
That makes sense?
Mhm. It does. It is, all I can say, I mean, as far as just doing that work at the moment is it's so freeing and valuable. It's kind of amazing because the other thing that I didn't realize about emotional set points is our level of resistance. You know, I didn't realize that my level of resistance was kind of stuck in that concept of emotional set point. Uh, if anything feels a little more negative, I almost in resistance, I force myself back into the set point
Mm-hmm.
in a way consciously because, well, not consciously, but in a way on purpose because I don't want to go, I don't want to go any further down that path. And the resistance kind of knocks you back. And at the same time, I kind of was okay with that because there was there were protective measures that uh, I kind of was soothing myself with in that pattern. So there's a lot of I guess a lot of movement that as soon as you decide to start to look at what your emotional set points are, even intimacy, how intimate do you really allow yourself to be with someone, your friends, your everybody, coworkers, and I don't mean in a sexual way, but in a vulnerable kind of just open personal way. How far do you allow yourself to go? Well, I don't have set points that go very far into that. And as soon as it starts to feel like you're kind of crossing that line, I can feel that resistance kind of, this come up and I want to pull back into the set point. So the other aspect of that for me that was so interesting was how tied in it is to our resistance in life. Yeah.
Well, that brings up a really good point, is exactly what you said, the emotional set point being a protector in the moment and having I go back to awareness. Okay, this protected me at one point to have this emotional set point. Is it doing its job now? Is it serving me? Or is it something that I would like to adjust? And that's something that would be really good to start asking myself when I notice an emotional set point.
Right.
Be it around money, be it around friendship, be it around work, relationships.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it does serve a purpose, but is it now serving me or not serving me as well as as expanding that emotional capacity? Absolutely. And that set point and changing it. Absolutely. One way or the other, because sometimes anger, again, we talk about emotions being all beneficial. Sometimes anger can move me in a direction that I need to go into.
Right. Well, and also if we can kind of tell, for me, I can kind of tell if I have an emotional set point by the am I where I want to be in a subject? If I just ask myself, am I where I want to be in a particular subject? Say it's in relationship. Am I in the type of relationship that I'm really satisfied in? If I'm not, then I can assure myself there is a set point somewhere in that experience that I'm not crossing the threshold of. I'm not allowing myself to move into some space that is called upon in a relationship. Same with work or whatever. If there's some part of my life that's not where I want it to be, I know that there's a set point that I'm hung up on. I mean, I have it happen quite regularly. Say with a new project, I have a new project. I'm excited about it. I feel like it's a powerful, purposeful thing. And I get to a certain point and there seems to be some backpedaling. Is it most likely self-sabotage? You know, all those kind of things start to come up. And it's because I hit that set point
Mhm.
and then kind of backed it up.
Mhm.
So if I ask myself in each individual kind of experience, am I where I want to be? No. Where am I hitting that threshold of the set point? Where am
Well,
I touching that?
well, continue on with that because you're onto something with say you're starting this project, because this happens to all of us. You start something and you're really excited and really motivated and you've got a lot of energy behind it. And then you hit this emotional set point. And that's where we really want to do the work.
Yes.
And that's where we want to sit with that emotional, we want to sit with that wall that we just hit.
Mhm.
What, rather than retreat, oh, it's not going to happen, or I'm not good at this. Why did we put up that wall at that moment?
Right.
And what's on the other side of that wall? How do we move? How do we, I guess we recognize there's a wall there, and rather than giving up, taking another look and saying, do I really want to give up on this? Even though I'm not as excited as I once was, I hit this wall. What would happen if I don't know the words. It's just there's something there to what you were saying. That's where the gold lies,
Oh,
is
definitely.
when we hit that wall and we say, okay, I'm petering out now.
Right. And sometimes it looks like sometimes, especially in relationship, I'll say in relationship to me, it looks like that set point looks like I'm going along, everything feels good. And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of judgment. So in relationship, my set point, I can tell my set point's kind of being hit when all of a sudden I kind of get stuck in a bunch of judgment. I'm all of a sudden uh uh predetermining what someone's gonna do. I'm evaluating what they've said beyond, you know, beyond anything that I should be doing that with. I'm replaying replaying conversations, replaying statements. I can kind of feel myself doing that backpedal, and it looks a lot like judgment. And in say a new project, that set point when I hit that, what I notice when I hit that point and I'm trying to go past that with a new project, I'll start to hear myself say a lot of things like, "Oh, I can't do this right now. I don't have time." It's almost like I start making excuses. So it's interesting because in one circumstance it looks different than in another. They don't exactly look the same. And yes, that would be where the threshold is if we can just continue to go past that. And I think, again, the first part of it is recognizing,
Mhm.
okay, I'm doing this to myself. I'm the one who's kind of going in reverse now. And I need to kind of maybe unpack it, maybe sit with it,
Mhm.
maybe just even be able to, you know, tell a friend or talk to someone about, okay, I had this thing, I was really excited about it. Now I'm feeling myself kind of all over the place with it. And I'm not sure how to really dive into that specifically. Um, yeah, because I think there would be a lot of questions you'd have to ask. I mean, I have to do that all the time,
Mhm.
all the questions of, okay, now how am I feeling? And why does my body feel like this, but my mind, I can hear my thoughts. My thoughts seem clear. My thoughts seem purposeful, but
Mhm.
my body is kind of stuck over here feeling very anxious and uptight. Where's the contrast, or where is that gap that I'm needing to figure out?
I'm wondering if, and I think we may have talked this, I think we talked about this before, maybe not on here, but I wonder if emotional set point in a way is connected with our self-image. Kind of like as you're talking, we have this self-image of ourselves. And as we start something new and we're excited about it, we hit this wall. If we have just an example, if you think you're not a dancer, you're a good dancer and you just don't want to dance. Oh, I don't dance. I don't dance. And you go to a party and you're really excited and the music's good and someone wants you to dance and you're like, okay. And then you start to dance and you like shit the bed with dancing. It's like this filter came down and said, no, remember, you don't
You don't
dance.
yeah.
So I wonder if there's a connection between an emotional set point and what our filters are of our self image. Because we can't hold an image of ourselves and do something different.
Right.
There was an example that Jack Canfield did. He wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he did a course that I listened to, and he talked about how he'd have half the room visualize this goes into self-image, visualize being a seagull. He had the other half of the room visualize being a, what do you call it when you the drill?
Oh, the jackhammer operator?
Jackhammer, yes. So a jackhammer. So this half of the room was a jackhammer. This half of the room was a seagull. So he said, okay, fly like a, stand up and act like a seagull. So they were doing this and the jackhammer was doing this sort of thing. Now he said, okay, I want you guys to hold that image of a seagull, but do the action of a jackhammer. And I want you guys to hold that image of a jackhammer, but do the image or do the action of a seagull. And what you'd get was like this, or like they just couldn't do it because the it's that vision, that visualization. They say you can't hold two visuals of yourself at the same time. So it's almost like we have to change that filter.
Right. And experientially, it sounds like we organically become our version of ourselves, even though our mind we try to trick ourselves with our mind that our thoughts are here while our self-image is over here. And then we can't figure out, why does my life not look like why does my life not look like this?
Right.
It's almost that self-image, that vision of ourselves. We can't really, you and I talk about that. The one person you'll never fool is yourself. And even how no matter how hard you try to fool yourself, your life experience will keep handing you this.
This self-image. This is your self-image.
Yes. I don't care what your mind is telling you. It's just talking, This is the thing that just holds you. So maybe, yeah, maybe that self-image and the set point are very much one and the same. Maybe that's the self-image being made manifest, and for us to notice, wait, okay, even though my mind, I want to believe that I'm this is the set point that I keep experiencing. And so whatever is experiential, finally letting go of what we're trying to mess with our minds to tell us, but actually allow ourselves to go back to the experience and say, okay, now I see where the work is. I want to go back here instead of me just
to the
trying
self-image. Let me go back to the
yes.
self-image that I currently hold of myself, no matter what I
Right.
think of myself. This
Right.
is the self-image that keeps coming down.
Yeah, and just drop this mind chatter, go back to the experiential manifestation and say, okay, I get it, I get why I'm here, and now let me work with this energy, let me work with this experience and start to move it gently to where I want it to be.
Yeah.
Versus, by gosh, I'm gonna make this happen.
Yeah.
Just through my mind alone.
Which is interesting because I think that, working with clients and myself trying to work through goals personally, I mean, we have this goal that we want to work towards. But when we hit that self-image, we can get that goal by white knuckling it and making, okay, like weight loss, for example. You can reach that goal. I'm gonna watch my calories. I'm gonna eat certain types of foods. I'm gonna eat once a day. I'm gonna have protein drinks for my other meals. I'm gonna exercise. I'm gonna do all this. But it's not a natural lifestyle change. It's the white knuckling, I'm gonna do this no matter what. And you can only maintain that so far. Our thoughts, we can only maintain that so far. I think it's very important working with that self-image, working with that emotional set point. That's where the work, the gentle, kind, keeps coming back to that. The gentle, kind, loving work begins. That's where it is.
Well, and especially if, like take the weight loss, for example, what we most often find is, I want this. And so I'm going to make this happen, white knuckle it. We do our thing. We effort it to death.
Mhm.
We finally get there and we realize we just brought ourselves with us.
Yeah.
You get there and you realize that is meaningless.
Yeah.
It didn't change anything. And regardless of what you accomplished, you feel the same way you did when you started. So there is the option to do it that way. And then there's the option to go back to the self-image and just start there.
Yeah.
Where you're going to create lasting change, not toward any particular subject, but say just life itself, that's the feeling. That's the change and the shift in feeling where you end going, oh yeah, I did it. How cool is that? Yeah.
I like the words that keep coming to my head is this is one thing I ask all my clients is, how do you want to feel along the way
Sure.
of getting to your goal?
Right.
How do you want to feel? Because if you're not enjoying that ride's worthless. And that feeling is what's most important.
Mhm.
And that feeling is the energy wave that will get you to an end goal that will surprise and delight you.
Right. Absolutely.
And an emotional set point that will surprise and delight you.
Absolutely. Yeah. A shifted emotional set point, a raised emotional set point where you can now breathe through, that old threshold that you just couldn't cross.
Yes.
When you get to the point where you can just breathe through that and just kind of allow yourself to, okay, because it's going to resurface. That's the other
Again
thing.
and again and again.
It's
Yes.
going to come back. It's going to come back, and it could come back forever. I don't know.
Yes.
And if it does, that's great, because every time you're going to feel it,
You're like, yeah,
and then when you've done the work, you just breathe through it, and it just flows right through you. But it may always register.
and here you are again. I got this.
Dear friend, got you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Feel complete.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully you're elevated by your emotional set point understanding and self-image, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Our graceful exit,
Yeah.
because I can't see. Really, bye.